Have you ever dropped something somewhere hard to reach and really struggled to get it back? I know that I have. So I've come up with a solution. In this video, I attempted to design and make 3D printed grippers from scratch. Let's start from the beginning. This whole idea started before I even had the idea for a YouTube channel. Currently, I'm taking an engineering class at my school, and a few weeks ago, a project was assigned to create grippers that should be able to complete a list of requirements that were given by our teacher. Those requirements include that it has to be able to pick up a soup can, has to be able to pick up a 1/4 inch marble, and it has to be able to have 2 functions other than just a gripper. He also added that at least one part has to be 3D printed. This project doesn't sound too difficult, except for the fact that our teacher waited until we had 5 days to design, print, buy parts, and create these grippers. Just to let you know, this is my first time ever 3D printing. So this becomes very difficult when you're assigned to a group of 3 other people that you'd have to coordinate everything with over the next 5 days. Needless to say, the grippers didn't come out too well. Unfortunately, I don't have the picture of the grippers, but I do have a picture of the CAD design that I used to create the grippers. For the project, we ended up using a PVC pipe as the base, and we printed claws and a connector to connect it to the base. And then we ended up using springs and strings to make it open and close. The grippers did end up working enough to meet the requirements, but they were just barely able to pass. It turns out that having like 2 days to print it and 3 days to coordinate a time with your team to build it isn't much time for a project. This now leads into my personal 3D printed gripper. I ended up acquiring a 3D printer recently. I've wanted one for a while, but this school project just motivated me to make the purchase. So I decided to buy an Ender 3 Pro. I've been using cheap $25 filament that I bought with the Ender 3 Pro, and it ended up working really great. It took me a bit to set up and understand my 3D printer, but once I got it built, I started working on the grippers right away. The first thing I did was pull out my notebook and start writing down some important information that I would need for this design. I began by writing a quick explanation as to what I was doing. Then I wrote a list of requirements to follow to help keep it all organized. Then I had some more notes to help guide my design process towards the grippers that I wanted. I then started the first design step where I began to design the finger grip for the grippers. I already had a rough idea for what I wanted in my head, but I didn't know how to draw the design in 3D because I'm artistically challenged, so I stuck with what I could do best and drew 2D drawings. I organized each drawing by front, side, and top so that it'd be easily visualized in 3D. As I was drawing, I included some design changes that I thought of while drawing the design. After the first design, I decided to create the model in FreeCAD and print the first prototype. So I messed up. When I designed the grip, I used a ruler to measure my fingers. Not the best way, but it still should have worked. It turned out to actually be me being stupid. When I measured my fingers, I ended up measuring the exact size, which shrunk when I designed the model and made some cuts. So it was just a simple mistake that I could edit. I began the redesign by flipping the page so I had an empty spot to draw. I started by writing a title for my redesign and began to draw the new design for the finger grip. I also took this time to add in the middle square bar that will be used later in the opening and closing mechanism of the claw. I finished my redesign by adding a quick note of the changes I made. Then I printed it. When I printed my second prototype, it came out perfect. The quality printed perfectly and my fingers were able to fit comfortably in the grip. Overall, I was pretty proud of the redesign and started thinking about the next step. The next thing I'm going to design is the finger grip housing. This is what will allow the finger grip to slide. I again began by writing the name and then started to draw it out. While drawing, I also made sure to include the measurements in the design. The part I am drawing right now is what will later be used to connect the handle to the shaft of the grippers. I then finished the design by drawing arrows and labeling each part so it's easier to understand. Then I gave the handle's first prototype a print. The way that I printed the handle left it very weak in a certain direction, so when I tried to pull out the supports that printed, it ended up ripping it apart. Not only that, there was another issue with the lid, and it ended up not fitting because I'm stupid and decided to make it the same exact size of the handle, so it wasn't able to fit up together. Since the mistakes were easy fixes, I decided I would change them in the final print and moved on to the next part. The approach I'm going to be taking for designing from this point on is a little different. I'm going to design the parts like I normally do, except instead of printing every prototype, I'm going to wait until I've completed every design instead of wasting all of my 3D printing material like I have been. I've wasted a lot trying to understand my printer. Like a lot. What I'm designing right now are the support beams that will act as the shaft of the grippers, and then I'm also designing supports that will give the shaft extra strength so it doesn't break under the weight of other objects that's going to be holding. After that, I designed the connector that would connect the end of the shaft to the actual pinchers that will be grabbing objects. Then finally, I began designing the claw. I couldn't figure out the radius for the indent that I wanted, so I ended up using the grippers that I already designed and printed as a guide. Wait, what? So it turns out the radius of the circle I made for the hinge of the claw was too small, so the screw connecting it won't even fit. But I didn't want to waste any more printing material, so instead of reprinting it, I decided to drill a new hole into it to make it a little bigger. And it worked good enough for me. Okay, so from this point on, I actually had all the parts I needed to assemble the claws. So I started to do that, and I forgot to actually record me printing the parts or building it. So, that's my bad. So instead of skipping any 3D printing part entirely, I decided to quickly design a smiley face in FreeCAD and printed that out for you guys here. So here you go. So hope you're happy. And as you can see, it works. Kinda. To be honest, the grip can't really hold anything. It doesn't actually have any real grip strength, unfortunately. Even though it doesn't function well as grippers, it does function as a good tool to keep my dog in check. So I still count this project as a success. So yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed that video. It took me a while because I didn't know exactly how to edit the video, but I think it turned out okay. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below what you'd like me to make next. I definitely need more ideas. I only have like one other idea for a project in my head, so if you have any ideas, please let me know. If you think you know anyone that would like this type of content, please make sure you share it with them and help my channel grow. That would be really helpful because I'd like to get this channel to grow quite a bit. I don't exactly know when my next video is going to be uploaded, but I have a very interesting idea for the next video that I think you guys will enjoy. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning into this video, and see you guys later. Peace.